please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Roll call. Ike White. Yeah. Steve Rolando. Yeah. Larry Woolahan. Yeah. Brooks McGowan. Jackie Stanley. Yeah. Bob Wright. Yeah. Terry Lynn Durham, I know she's on the line, so I'm going to go and check her off. And Deborah Lane.
Here.
Okay, the meeting minutes for May, I have one correction in the members present. Bill Tomei wasn't here. Larry was here. So whoever can update the minutes and add Larry and remove Bill, I'd appreciate it. Are there any other corrections or comments on the May meeting minutes? Yes. He said he hasn't.
Yeah, he called me the other day about something else, and they're doing well. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 11th. All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, any abstained? Okay. Any public comment? Anybody here from the public? Okay, Chief's report.
Good evening. Happy Monday. We'll go over. Oh, geez. Sorry. Hey. Boy, it never worked, and now it works too good. Huh? Look at that. Can't figure it out. Anyway, we've got several things to go over in new business tonight, which we'll do that in new business, and I've got some Kiowa River updates as well too that we'll handle in unfinished and old business as well too. But first thing tonight, wanted to introduce a member of our team that was recently promoted. In the back corner over there is Ed Gamard. Ed Gamard was one of our operational battalion chiefs, and he was promoted to assistant chief this last month. He will be over our support services section with Chief Flanagan moving operations and Chief Junker remaining in professional standing. So Ed's already hit the ground running. One of the big first projects he's tackling is we are consolidating several of our programming issues or programming things that we use, whether it's assets, inventory, truck checkoffs, pre-plans, hydrants, boy, what else? A bunch of stuff. Inspections, all sorts of things. We're consolidating those to a program called First Due, and Chief Gamard's leading the charge on that as well too for that consolidation. So congratulations to Chief Gamard. Last couple of months, we've talked about some of those personnel that were credentialed. We've got one more to add to our list. Kurt Thomas, who actually came to us last year, is credentialed now as a fire officer as well too. So congratulations to Kurt on his continuous improvement as well too. Busy month, the last month for our professional standards division. There was a collapse rescue class, kind of a new class. It was kind of the first to be held in the state of South Carolina. Was here at St. John's. We partnered with Mount Zion and the school district, so thank you to them for providing some resources for us to do the class. Swim qualifications happened. There was a boat operator class, EMS training, lots of different fire training as well too. So busy group there, and they continue to set the bar high for our people as well too. Our recruit classes, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We will be sending out, hopefully in the next week or two, some firm information for that July 10th. Have that on your calendar. July 10th is recruit graduation. We're just trying to, it's been a painstaking process to finalize that location for that. But it'll likely be in the morning, Chief Junker, is that correct? In the morning, July 10th. We're trying to get Seacoast, the new Seacoast Church on off of Plug as well. So it's just, we're getting there. So we'll have that for you here soon as well too. A couple other things just going on. Our budget, we've passed our first reading for fiscal year 27 budget that starts July 1st. That public comment, second reading is this Thursday evening, but we don't anticipate any issues. And then our bond resolution to go out for our bonds for our fire station projects and a couple other things we wanted to do has passed through finance committee without any issues. And that first reading is Thursday night as well too. So all good things going through there. this morning we met with Charleston Fire Department. So what we do is annually, our command staff sits down with their command staff and we just plan out different things happening on Johns Island and what's going on in their organization and ours. Those have always been really, really fruitful conversations to make sure that we are maintaining fire and EMS coverage on particularly Johns Island and Wamala, and even as a response partner, they respond to Kiowa and Seabrook sometimes as well too. So we met with them, had a great conversation about some of their future plans as well too, and how we all work together. So it's been a good relationship with Charleston Fire Department as well too. Let me see. We went members of our command staff. We went a couple weeks ago. We went up to Greer Fire Department, which is in upstate, as we start working on building our new training facility out at Station 5. They have a brand new CMU facility we wanted to go take a look at. So we went up there and met with them, to see what they thought and what we could gain from that. And also met with Greenville County Emergency Management. And, one of those reasons for that is what we'll talk about in new business is our emergency management piece and how we respond to not just hurricanes, but other large scale disasters as well too. And we'll talk a little bit later about our role in that. And we feel some contracts that need to be put in place that support us as the fire district. And we'll touch on that a little bit more in new business as well too. We participated. Kiowa had their disaster awareness day. That was a nice day, well attended. Had some good presentations. Chief Way from EMS and Mike Lamb, who's the PICA security director, and how they responded to Hurricane Helene was good too. Let's see what else we got. Lots of other good things. Fiscal year 27 will start July 1st, and we've got a lot of exciting things in this year's budgets and projects, and we'll get started on those as well too. Other two items in new business we'll get to is FEMA has some grant opportunities available, so we're going to request for us to put in two grants, one related to emergency management, the other one's a fire prevention grant. We'll talk about that more in new business as well. All right, HR report. Mr. Turn the mic on.
Here we go. Hello. Okay, what are we doing in HR and hiring? We've got two upcoming jobs that are going to be posted real soon. One of them, Deputy Fire Marshal, will be posted soon. Battalion Chief to replace Ed. There's a plan for that coming up also. We had two separations. One recruit didn't make it through, and one probationary firefighter separated. We've got three workers' comp firefighters that have had time off and one paramedic specialist that has time off. And our staffing levels, BC's 6 out of 6, and that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, it says 6 out of 6, even though there's that one opening for Ed because there's an acting in there.
Well,
Is that why?
Yeah, technically there's 5 out of 6.
Okay, so 5 out of 6, but there's an acting right now in that position. Okay. Captains, 30 out of 30. Engineers, 31 out of 33. Firefighters, 42 out of 54. Plus, there's 10 recruits about to graduate. And paramedic specialists are 3 out of 3 plus 2 part-time. So we're doing pretty well. But we're ready. We're really ready for the deputy fire marshal to get posted and get on that one. So, any questions? Yep. Thank you.
Chief Flanagan, do you want to touch on incidents?
Good evening. For the month of May, St. John's responded to 347 incidents, 179 on Johns Island, 94 on Kiowa, 40 on Seabrook, and 34 on Wadmalaw. And then a big highlight on May 12th, our crews fought a STEMI and did really well with a patient that didn't want any care. And our crews stayed on him, found a STEMI and got him to the hospital, stopped the potential heart attack. So that was the big one for the month of May.
We had a structure fire on Wamala over the weekend. Was actually came out as a fire alarm, and first due engine got there in a pretty well involved home on Wamala that people did a good job with. So.
Yes, and then Thursday and Friday we had a unified command with the county sheriffs in Charleston searching for a missing 12-year-old boy, which we found Friday. So, thank you.
Okay. If anybody has any questions for me, that'll conclude my chief's report. I want to thank our personnel, they, continue to, do an exceptional job and amaze me, and I'm appreciative of them as well too.
Financial report.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Okay, looking at the May financial report, our overall operating budget remaining goal is 8% and our actual is at 14.47%. The bank balances as of May 31st include our operating account at around 15.2 million, our eligible account at around 14,000, our 2023 Go Bond account at around 66,000, and our 2024 Go Bond account at around 14.6 million. Our May collections consisted of retiree reimbursements, and our April collections from Charleston County was around 464,000, and the non-standard overtime for May was 154,000. And then looking at the month of May, our operating expenditures year to date is at 20.1 million, which includes encumbrances. Our base pay is at 82%, and we are seeing a 11.3% increase in tax revenue compared to this time last year. Any questions?
Thank you. Attorney update?
Thank you so much. I know we have on new business, unfinished, on old business after this Kiowa River, ended up meeting with the chief. Generally speaking, just what I would classify as small phone calls, and nothing major to report. Unfortunately, nothing to report in executive session tonight. Still at the same position we were in the last meeting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished old business, Kiowa River update?
Yes. So, good news. We met, well, let me get to the good news. I like to tell us beforehand. We met with the county, myself, Ms. Wetmore and, David Myers on the 26th of May. We met with county leadership, the county administrator, their legal department, and, coming out of that meeting, we, you know, was a bit unresolved in talking about having to go back and redo the agreement, and we didn't really have a resolution on our issue. The good news is, they have rethought that, and last week we received, I had a phone conversation with Michael, who we're working with at the county, who's been really good to work with, that they are going to subdivide the property. Kiowa River is donating 2 acres on the other side, and they're going to subdivide and give us that property for us to own. Yes. So, for 4 years, sorry, they're probably watching on YouTube. For 4 years, that was the initial agreement 4 years ago. And sure, you know, that doesn't always happen. But they are going to go through the subdivision property. Kiowa River's going to give them, because their project's going to be behind us, they're going to give them 2 acres on the other side. And then that it eliminates a lot of zoning issues we would have had with curb cuts and all sorts of different things. I won't bore you with the details. But so that is good news, and we can move. Probably the subdivision process will take just a little bit, but won't delay us as long as some of the other route we were going to go as well too. So that is in writing. We have their thoughts and comments in writing. So we are going to pursue that avenue unless you tell me different. But we will try to. Okay. Yeah. There will have to be some work done there as far as just dissolvement of that, and you know that's for the lawyers to figure out. But that is the news. Yes, sir.
Will we have to raise property?
I don't think so. I can ask David with that, because we had talked about shifting the fire station. I don't think with this new property we'll have to do that, which is good. So I think we should be okay.
Well,
we should be okay there.
The last I heard, they've actually grant. So that was what was causing us to have to elevate. And now that unless they re-issue again, but my understanding last meeting I was in with Jen, because it ended up, I guess, not benefiting.
Yeah. So No, there's some trees, grand trees, some different things, so, you know, we, honestly, it's cleaner because now the site work will absorb that on just our side. I do suspect there will be some potential shared costs just on the, where I see the shared costs coming in is the actual stormwater piece of this, because those, two properties will be connected, and that's how they've routed. Different conversation for a different day, but, there will be probably some type of marriage there to Charleston County in some way, but, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
And just, we had contemplated keeping the site preparation cost as separate as possible in the lease anyway. And so I don't know that this really is gonna change for us financially. I mean, there were always going to be some site clearing costs and some drainage and civil engineering costs. We had contemplated keeping them separately, and this will just make that more official.
That's my keyword, Rick. Persistence.
So on the timeline, that means that we might still get the permit in the whole crowd.
We'll see. I would imagine the subdivision process, sometimes the timeline's a little unclear. I would hope it's sooner than later. The county is trying to make that happen. I'm sure I have to follow up with Michael, but, once that's done, then we can, I think they're going to allow us to submit site plan review, knowing the intention is to subdivide the property at a certain area, and knowing that they are working on the donation, Kiowa River. That way it doesn't delay our timeline, and we can still submit even though those lines are technically not recorded plans. Should be okay, yeah. So.
Any other questions? So under new business, do you want to read these and explain this a bit more? Want me to read them?
No, what we'll do, no, sorry, I didn't mean no as in, I'm gonna have Chief Henson talk a little bit about A and B. So where A and B are born out of is, we're just requesting approval for an RFP and then also an RFQ, you know, as taking, you know, emergency management has been something we've identified as an organization that's really important, because we are, there's a piece of the city out here as well too, but it's really us. And what we've learned through experience as well too is that we need to be prepared to have equipment ready that we can use, and not have to rely on requesting that equipment that may never come as well too. Chief Henson will speak a little bit more to that. So,
thank you, Chief. And Madam Chair, members of the commission. So as Chief said, the first item, we'll just go down that list if that's okay with you guys, starting with A. So the first one is a pre-event disaster logistics and support contract. You may ask, what in the world is that? What we have learned, some of it I would say, fortunately, and some of it unfortunately, is the disasters and the events that we've been experiencing over the last handful of years, they're not going anywhere. They're going to continue to increase, particularly Chief Yunker and I were just speaking. The infrastructure on Johns Island is already underwhelming, I guess is what I should say, but also with the changes that we have going on with a lot of the construction work, that changes the environment, and I'm speaking to flooding. So impervious surfaces, the more they build, the more roadways they are, water's got to go somewhere, right? We have a stormwater issue. So it's no surprise to you guys that live here and live on the islands that flooding is a concern that we have. So historically, I think there's been a mindset in public safety in general that when these events happen, we call the county, we call for help, and the cavalry come. And so the reality is, sure, that is how it works, but the timing is the piece that we struggle with. Not only that, but we're competing for the same resources as the city of Charleston and North Charleston and the county and so forth. So over really, I guess, to keep me honest here, the last year or two, following like Hurricane Helene, we saw some things that our partners up there were doing and some things that some of the neighboring counties around here are doing with these pre-event disaster contracts. So the way those work, this is the piece that's a little confusing. They're a $0 contract. And so Chief and I tried to wrap our head around that. So the way these work, there's a particular vendor we've been talking to. However, there's others that do it. So we would need to follow an RFP process. But the way these work, we had basically established what our critical infrastructure are and what our needs are. Like, we kind of predetermine what we would be looking for if we enacted a contract. An example, Chief Ed Gamard has been working diligently with the maintenance team about a backup plan, because we have a station generator that was just ordered, but it's a 25-week lead time. So we go, hey, what are we going to do? We need a backup plan. If we're in hurricane season now, thanks June 1st, right? So what are we going to do in the event that we have one of these storms come in and we need to have sustainable power for an extended amount of time? The Chief Ed reached out to Sunbelt Rentals, and they say, sure, we have a contingency plan made especially for you. We say, okay, well, tell us about that. Long story short, the contingency plan guarantees you get a generator within 24 hours of making that phone call for the low price of $12,000 a month. $12,000 a month just to ensure that you get it when you call. That doesn't include the pricing when you actually get it and start to get crazy, right? So it's like an insurance policy. The vendor we've been talking to, as well as others, the $0 part of that is they work with you ahead of time to identify your needs, and there's no cost. So it's a bit of a planning exercise. Where the cost comes in is when you enact the contract. All the liability is on these companies to make sure they have the equipment when you need it, knowing that you may never make that phone call. So Chief and I try to wrap our heads around it, and we go, there's no loser here. Like, how do people not see that? So other counties around us, Dorchester County has done it. Berkeley's looking at it. Charleston County, I don't want to say they're behind the 8 ball, but they're not quite there yet. So as a district, we thought this would be something advantageous for us to look at. We were able to see one of the vendors' warehouses, and the equipment, Chief, you can speak to that, is pretty impressive. I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years, been deployed to other states. I've never seen the amount of resources that we saw there. It was wild. But what we're asking you guys is to support us digging deeper into it. Part of the FEMA requirements, because if we get a contract and we enact it during a disaster, we want our money back, right? Because FEMA reimburses this stuff. Part of FEMA's requirement on the financial side, and Danielle and I have had some conversations about this, they require that it was competitively bid, so that you and I can't be friends and I'm just giving it to you. So there has to be a competitive bidding process to award the contract. Therefore, when you enact it, all your procurement is pretty much already handled, if that makes sense. So what we're looking to do is to put an RFP out to select the vendor. And then from there, we actually build the contract with them, because it's going to be based on what we need. And then in that contract, we'll include kind of what we call mission-ready packages. So this is how much the generator would cost you per day, per hour. So we'd already have it kind of outlined as what it would cost when we enact the contract, if that makes sense. It's new to a lot of us, so we've been trying to wrap our head around it, but we're just looking for support to move forward. Chief, if you want to add anything to that item.
Yeah, just briefly, what they've learned out of Helene, there was 2 big things that everybody needed. That was fuel and power. And so what this contract will allow us to do is to get fuel and power when we need it and want it as well too. So that's kind of the high ceiling part.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
It could be. So there
Okay,
is a
yep.
piece of it, debris management. That's a function of the county. And so the county does have a debris management contract. I'm not sure who that's with, but it is something we could pursue if we chose to. Chief mentioned power and fuel, because those are hot commodities. But when I say the potential is limitless, it's anything you could think of, from base camps to temporary fire stations to food, whatever, you name it, you can build it in. Yes, sir. So the way the pre-positioning part works, and this is where if we move forward, we probably likely have a couple of vendors come in and present so that we get to see a little bit more about it. But the way the pre-positioning works is, yes, they would pre-position in the area. Being that Dorchester and Berkeley have contracts with a vendor, if we had that same vendor, they would likely pre-position in the Tri-County area. However, the particular vendor we've been talking to has done this before. We just weren't under contract during the ice storm in 2025. So they set up at maintenance. So there's an opportunity they could bring stuff there. Because they're also still servicing other people that are not under contract. So yes, sir, it would be pre-positioned locally. We just wouldn't get it or be charged for it until we enacted the contract.
So, Chief, I know historically in the past, we, anticipated fuel, made that call early, because of course, everybody else is doing the same thing. Just to make sure that we've got it.
Yes, sir.
Is that part of the,
could
plan
be.
as far as, our fuel vendor?
Yes, sir. It could be. Again, Chief spoke to power and fuel being hot commodities, and we've experienced it. I can't remember the last storm that we were affected by it, where our local fuel vendor that fills up the station, tanks, and Chief Stanley was still here, they ran out. So they ran out because the demand was so high.
Right.
So then again, that kind of is where these vendors are coming in, having that disaster contract. Because this wouldn't be somebody we typically get fuel from on a daily basis. It would just be under this disaster contract. And that's kind of what this is planning for the worst and hoping that we never have to implement it. But what we're learning is it's better to plan ahead of time than to try to chase our tail when the storm gets here.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
I know it's pending approval. How long would it take for us to get the administrative piece in place? Because we're in
Yes.
this season.
So I'm going to lean on Danielle. I don't know that our policy actually says how long our RFP process has to be. So we have a policy that talks about our RFP. I don't think it outlines the timeline. So we could determine that ourselves. 14 days, 21 days, 30, we could choose, and then review those and select a vendor. So that would be up to this.
Yeah, the RFP's ready.
Yeah.
Typically we do 30 days for an RFP, so that's what I would stay with. I know we're in, but I would stick with that just for consistency as well too. So, and I'm not sure if do we need a formal approval? Just to seek an RFP, because we wouldn't be deciding on the contract. We're just, basically it's a, hey, we want to, because we could get something back and say, we don't want to do any of this. Sure.
So what you're explaining is what they and talk about.
Do you want to just briefly talk about B?
Then we'll
Yeah,
do a
because
motion.
B-
I can hit
B-
B because B is because of A.
Right, right.
It all makes sense. So again, I talked about getting our money back. So one piece of this is enacting this contract could happen anytime, but the reality is it's going to be probably during a declared disaster. So then it opens up funding sources for reimbursement. Now with that, there is quite a bit of documentation that has to be done. There's a lot of admin work that goes into it. Historically, we've done that internally. Even previous, like myself and Chief, other chiefs worked on that. So B is actually similar. It is a request for an RFQ versus an RFP, but request qualifications for firms that do disaster reimbursement services. Why, you may say? This contract we're talking about could get pretty detailed, pretty lengthy. It depends on what we need, how bad the storm is. The idea is to then have a contract with an administrative service group, basically a consultant that would handle the reimbursement process for us. That is covered under FEMA's Category B reimbursement. So there's an item when we go in there that says direct administrative costs. It allows, like if I was working on reimbursement, I could put down my time based on what my wage is, and they could reimburse the time that we spend on that. Likewise, if we have a contract and we use a third party, we can get reimbursed 75% of their cost from FEMA and up to 25% from the state. So in theory, you get 100% reimbursement back. But there's some other little caveats that depend on what categories were opened up, because like these emergency protective measures, there's some other things that would be written in their qualifications that we would review. But the idea is to have a firm that this is what they do. They know how to squeeze the turnip to get the most juice out of it. And they're familiar with these disaster contracts that we're talking about, so that if we enacted a contract, we could turn around and enact this other group to make sure that we're doing all our documentation right and that we're going to get as much money reimbursed as we can. So that's B in a nutshell. And why RFQ? So we actually talked to a vendor that some of our partners have used. It was actually her recommendation because of how FEMA can be when it comes to reimbursement. She said, well, you need to at least go through an RFQ process to review the qualifications of the vendors and then select the one that you choose. There's no price because the price is based on the amount of time. So likely they'll send their qualifications and then we could have a conversation about what, I'm sure it's an hourly rate or maybe a project rate, but that's all stuff we can wrap into that. So B would be a request to proceed with a RFQ, request for qualifications on FEMA disaster reimbursement services contract.
Well, the FEMA forms change, to a certain extent, so this consultant would keep up on not only what are the requirements for reimbursement, but also how to fill out forms. I would assume we would have them doing that with us.
Yeah.
To help us fill out forms.
They would make sure that we are dotting our i's.
Right. So probably Kia was the same thing. Seabrook has contracts with disaster recovery companies. So when we evaluate what our needs possibly would be, probably a focus would be more on job ground law, and then maybe touch base with Kia and Seabrook, but that might not be as extensive out there because they're doing their own thing. Now, if we have the large companies coming through degree management, they have to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So there'd
Yes.
still be a challenge coming through John's Island, so, it'd be a coordination.
Or, sorry, not to
That's
try to
okay.
cut you off. What we don't actually know though is what we feel, conversation we need to have with both the town of Seabrook and Kiowa is that their contracts are actually just for debris management, not disaster response services.
Yeah.
Particularly when it comes to fuel and generators and, keeping water plants open and, all of those different things. But we have a couple conversations coming up about that with both of the towns to take a look at that.
Yeah,
But,
and I know the POA on Seabrook does coordinate generator rentals, and things like that, although they're buying a lot to have their own generators. But yeah, I agree, you want to talk to both of them, but they might be able to have more equipment and more available done by. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion for both A and B, so I'm going to read them and then we'll, go ahead, Matt.
Yes, sir. That's a great. It is. So in the contract, again, we'd be doing an RFP, but when we get the contract before it's voted on by this commission to approve, that is part of it. And they do have, the vendor that we talk to as well as others do have subcontractors. So that if their resources then get depleted, they have subcontractors that say they run out of generators. We saw probably 50, 60 generators at the location we were at. They have subcontractors on the hook to deliver those products. And so as part of the RFP, we'll make sure that we get their qualifications. And the big one is references. And I encourage us, once we get that and we review it, to reach out to the references that have experience with these vendors.
One of the challenges with the generator past hurricanes was depending on the path of the hurricane, Florida and Georgia started sucking up all the resources. By the time it got to South Carolina, there was a little bit of a struggle. So when we evaluate these vendors, I'd be interested in the regions that they cover too, how many states are spread out and what their capabilities are. And do they have a policy where if they couldn't supply something, do we get some type of a reimbursement because we have to go find it somewhere? That's what I'll do.
Madam Chair, here's a question on the reimbursement. When Hugo came through, we took care of debris. We kept roads open so that we could get somewhere. Of course, that was a long time ago. Traffic wasn't near as bad as it is, but we went out with chainsaws and did what we could. If there was a piece of equipment on the side of the road, somebody figured out how to, how to use it. And we took care of the roads.
Yeah, we have a similar, thought process. We've taken care of the roads after some of the smaller hurricanes we had. It's been a little bit since we've had, some of those storms as well too, but, to Commissioner Wright's comment too, I think it's a joke in our command staff, but it's not a joke of, like I'm gonna be running a front end loader down Bohicket Road just to get the roads open. The debris, that's fine, like they can manage it, they can chop it, whatever they wanna do, but
Right.
for us, it's an access issue. And we see that as a vital part, in coordination with Charleston County to ensure that that happens. Because their public works could potentially supply resources as well too, right? So,
And that is a reimbursable item that we've done in the
Yep.
past. Ed, he's probably upset at me because in our new system, FEMA has a cost code for everything. And so I had Ed go in and build out those for chainsaws. So in the past,
Right.
if we track, the incidents that they responded to remove trees from the roadway, they will reimburse us for the time of the saw, the people running it, the apparatus time, and that is all under that category B, emergency protective measure. So that is a reimbursement.
What's the cost of the county paid for? Because I know we had out that, county was okay with that. Yeah, the equipment, cutting tools, turning over, stuff like that. They follow and then follow.
So Berkeley Electric also is a player here, because when Seabrook Island had our disaster planning meeting, and the gentleman was there from Berkeley Electric, he said he'll be shoulder to shoulder with St. John's Fire District and the county, helping open the roads and get any power that's down. They're trying to get out here to repair their system, so
yeah, and here's what I'll say, to that, Commissioner Ike, is, we enjoy a good relationship with Charleston County Emergency Management. They are a coordinating body, right? So yes, do they send public works out because we needs? Yes. It's a big county. And our geography is, not conducive to, if, you have a major storm that say impacts the peninsula, those impacts are felt from the Santee all the way up or down to the, south end of the county, depending on things. So anyway, that's, we look at ourselves as also, we need these resources sometimes faster than what kind of the expectation is. And that's kind of the goal of this, is to make sure we're resourced. Particularly, if I want a front end loader, I can get a front end loader when I want it, but also we're gonna have fuel to sustain generator power for 4 or 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever that is. So,
Yeah, my question on the reimbursement was additional expense overtime for the district, repaying that.
yeah,
Because that could rack up a whole lot of money quick.
that's why we've made adjustments to our, fund balance policy to ensure that we've got, we can draw money from the county if we need to, in the event of we have sustained operations where, not, revenue might not be coming in, but we've got kind of a sustained, it's now taken us out of budget parameters and we're, we need it, and then we can get, that stuff, the reimbursement takes time, and that's kind of part B, is just, I think even these smaller storms would take probably 150, 200 hours of staff time just to get, even more, just to get reimbursed for $70,000. So, anyway,
Okay, so item A, presentation or overview of pre-event disaster logistics contract, which includes request approval of RFP and posting. And also include B in this motion. B is the overview of FEMA disaster reimbursement services contract that includes request approval of RFP and posting. So I make a motion to approve those A and B. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? And Terry Lynn, we did hear you back there. Okay, is someone going to explain?
yeah, I can do that real quick, Kevin, on C and D, just to keep us moving here. So, FEMA did announce, award opportunities for federal grant money. One is the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, the other is FEMA Fire Prevention Grant. FEMA, and these are, we generally, like, there's hardly any notice and then they're due in June. So, we're already preparing those those grants. With the AFG grant would be for us to request a FEMA Type 2 flood swiftwater team. So as we talk about this emergency management piece, the need for ourselves to be prepared with our own boats, training personnel to attack, to basically mitigate a swiftwater incident or make rescue. We don't really have anything like that. We've relied on our partners. One time Greenville came down, so we're asking for that money. So this would be kind of an overview of equipment of some inflatable boats, all the equipment associated with that training as well too would be included. There is a 10% match for that grant. Had we known that was coming out before the budget season, we would have done that, but they like to spring them on you kind of last minute as well too. So we would be basically 10% match. We'd be seeking total grant of about $350,000. So the match would be approximately $35,000. Number D is along the same lines, except this will be a fire prevention grant. This is a 5% match, which would cost to the district would be about $10,000. In that is just equipment and general fire prevention supplies to keep supporting our programs and smoke alarm programs as well too. So we are just seek approval to proceed with those because those, when awarded, will impact our budget as well.
I'm gonna bundle C and D together. Any comments or questions?
Chief, how do they classify swiftwater rescue when we don't have swiftwater?
So floodwater, swiftwater. So when we have,
Right.
Flooding like we've seen before on Kiowa and Seabrook, those would be considered swiftwater incidents as well too. Don't think of it too much as like a rapids, in the river. That's not what it is. But when we have to venture into any type of water that's not a normal source of, ocean or ponds that we have, those are considered swiftwater incidents. So, yeah. And what you see because they do it a lot is particularly in downtown Charleston, that water is moving, particularly here with tides and just stormwater management as well too. It's a very particular piece of our kind of special operations to have the right equipment and the right training to produce a team like this. The good thing is too, again, we've had people help us before. If an incident impacts, Horry County, we can send people to help as well too, because they'll meet the FEMA typing for that resource. The high water vehicle is paid for by Seabrook. So, but if the high water vehicle is deployed during an emergency, we get reimbursed for the cost of the apparatus and the fuel for it and the personnel and everything like that. So
I envision this as if you watch the news, seeing roads that are flooded and people are in their cars and now the inflatable boats are going out to sea. Well, that's what I'm envisioning that, and that can happen here.
that would be the correct visual.
Yeah. Salt water.
I don't recall what happened. I mean,
Insurance policy.
yeah, that's more of an insurance thing than a reimbursable from FEMA for damage. Yep. And they're not there at the ready as well too. So.
Okay, C, overview and approval to pursue the FEMA AFG grant for FEMA Type 2 flood swiftwater team equipment. And D, overview and approval to pursue the FEMA fire prevention grant. Fire. So I make a motion to approve. All those in favor, aye. Any opposed or abstaining?
All right, I'm gonna keep us moving. Number E, we are looking at purchasing kind of a larger shed, and this comes with the equipment installation for power for this as well too. We're not sure we're gonna do this yet, but I want to get your approval before the end of the budget year because we've run out of office space again in this building, and we need more office space. So we're gonna clean out some closets again too. So we might be putting we want to purchase a shed that will bid And then the installation for that, including the electric, because it needs to be conditioned space. That's a request for, not to exceed $15,000.
Now, would that be here or out Main?
Great question. We're not sure yet
Okay.
where that's exactly
It
going.
depends on the size of the shed.
It does. It's kind of something, we've talked about briefly, but I want to just get the approval and then I can kind of work out those details, as well too. We've talked about it being here. We've also talked about it being possibly at Station One, temporary, kind of location. So.
Yeah, but I would put that.
Unless it's conditioned.
Well, we did, yeah.
Well, but, yeah, and that's why I've seen the maintenance building for the protection area, but
the
it
good
it
news
also
is-
has to be air conditioned. too.
The good news is because of our medical supplies, we will ensure that's part of the installation costs. We've got dedicated systems that we track who's coming in and out of them, and also inventory systems that we have to kind of keep an eye on those and track and manage inventory. So,
And like I said, you want to make sure it's air conditioned.
yeah, that's part of it. It'll be installed probably with either like a mini split or some type of.
Depending where you place it, alarm might be a good idea too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Chief, $15,000 will not get it.
So we've priced out one, I've priced out one, I haven't went over this with Justin and some of his staff, but, it's about $6,000. That's from the company, down the street. And that's a 12 by 20, with a loft in it as well too, which, would be a fairly decent size once we build the racks out in it, things like that as well too. And just talking about, because we have, reasonable sources of power as to provide the power for those, and AC as well too. We feel that we can get it under, just kind of doing some rough cost estimate, we can get it under 2,000.
Based on my experience, $15,000 would be a great deal.
Okay, make a motion for request to approve the purchase of a shed equipment installation for medical supplies not to exceed $6,000. All those in favor, aye. Any opposed or abstaining? And we have added one more new business, F. You take it away.
To be your bonus for our employees, due to savings in our budget. I propose in the motion a $1,000 net full-time employees and $500 net for part-time employees for a total of $165,069.26.
So, Spencer has a comment.
Possible for someone to also make an motion to amend the agenda to add this item and make a specific statement of an exigency due to the end of the fiscal year coming up at June 30th.
Okay, so I make a motion to adjust the agenda this evening, June 8th, to add item for a bonus payment, a one-time bonus payment at the end of this fiscal year, 2026. And we need to read the motion.
You would approve that. Yeah, you would just need approval to change the minutes, or I'm sorry, change the agenda.
Okay,
Yep.
so I make a motion to approve the change agenda for June 8th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
vegetarian, thank you. Okay. The complimentary motion.
Okay. So as I said, I'd like to make a motion to award a one-time end of year bonus to our employees out of our savings in the budget. That would be $1,000 net for full-time employees, $500 net for part-time employees, for a total of $165,069.26.
And just to clarify, that total is the grossed up amount. So that includes all the taxes. So we're quoting what the net all the staff would receive, but we're grossing it up to cover all the tax. So do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, committee reports, building committee.
Yeah. She went over basically everything earlier. I cannot add up to track anything we had already said. We were slow moving along the way, but now that we have made some decisions, we can continue on with the project at both sides. So more will fall in money.
And on 5, are we, on Station 5 rebuild, are we to the point where it's the construction is on, the phase that we're at?
We're in permitting. We've already got several of the permits back. There's some final site plan we need to return back of some comments to satisfy Charleston County. That project's moving along well. I would expect some shovels in the ground, potentially as early as August or September for Station 5.
Finance committee.
Human Resources Committee did not have a meeting.
Strategic planning, we did not have a meeting. So, public firefighter comment. You're welcome. Yes, well preserved. Commissioner comment. Larry, we're gonna let you go first.
Try to AI the fireman joke or firefighter joke, but they're all useless. So I'm stuck for words. But anyway, enjoy the weather and thank you.
Congratulations on the promotions. This bonus is certainly well deserved. We appreciate everything you do, and please stay safe.
Jackie.
Again, congratulations, promotions to everybody. Tell personnel doing a good job, fire up, and be safe.
I concur with, number one.
Aye.
I'd like to say, that, Chief, I appreciate you all taking the time to bring us up to date on the emergency stuff that could happen here in our district. It's really important to me that we cover that or involved with that, ahead of time, not after time. So that's really important. On the other hand, I would like to also say, I don't know who spearheaded cleaning up over there at Station 7, but it looks good. I'm one to look around. Sometimes I'll say, hey man, we need to do this or that, but as soon as I can say something around, I got to say something right. So it looks good, and I appreciate you. So basically, that's the good stewards of the equipment, that's the good stewards of the buildings, the yard, and everything, because Connie give us this money. We don't know who rides around, where, and when. We want to take care of what they give us. Thank you to everyone.
Congratulations.
Carrie Lynn, do you have any comments?
Kudos to what all have said and to stay safe.
Okay. Congratulations, Ed, on your promotion. Quite sure everybody knew it. And I'm always happy when we're going to try to manage the cost and coming under budget. We want to turn around and get that back to you all, the reason why we do things effectively. So that's our way of showing our appreciation, commission, and recognizing our focus. There are no items for executive committee, executive session, so we're going to skip that. Is there anything else for our adjournment? Okay, I make a motion for the meeting to be adjourned. Do I have a?
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, thank you.